In the heart of Abuja stands a fortress of power, gleaming, imposing, and extraordinarily expensive. This is Nigeria's National Assembly, where 469 lawmakers convene to represent 200 million citizens. But here's what they won't tell you in their televised sessions. This single building, these 469 individuals, consume more public funds than the entire governments of some African nations. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of Africa's most closely guarded secrets, the staggering cost of Nigeria's democracy. And trust me, the numbers will shock you. Welcome to Threads of Power, where Nigerian politics is examined, not praised, and not protested. Watch closely. Let's start with the facts, cold, hard, and undeniable. For the 2024 fiscal year, Nigeria's National Assembly approved a budget of 344.8 billion naira for itself. That's approximately 228 million US dollars. To put that in perspective, that's not a typo. That's 344 billion 800 million naira. Now you might think, well, Nigeria is Africa's largest economy, surely that's proportionate. Hold that thought. Let me show you something. Ghana's entire parliament, all 275 members, runs on approximately $60 million annually. South Africa's National Assembly, serving 400 members in one of Africa's most developed democracies, operates on roughly $170 million. But Nigeria? Nigeria spends more than both countries combined, and we're just getting started. Kenya's parliament, with 416 lawmakers, costs about $120 million per year. Tanzania's legislature, representing 60 million people, runs on approximately $40 million. Rwanda's parliament, one of Africa's most efficient, costs a mere $15 million annually. Do you see the pattern forming here? Or should I say the crater-sized gap? But here's where it gets really interesting. Let's break down what this money actually pays for. According to publicly available data, and believe me, getting this information is like pulling teeth, each Nigerian senator receives a quarterly allowance of approximately 21 million naira. That's around $14,000 every 3 months for 109 senators. The 360 House of Representatives members receive slightly less, but we're still talking about millions of naira per quarter per member. Now, this doesn't include their official salaries, which is actually the smaller portion. We're talking about allowances for constituency projects, legislative aids, wardrobe, newspaper allowances, recess, entertainment, domestic staff, vehicle maintenance, and housing. Yes, you heard that right. Wardrobe allowances, entertainment budgets, in a country where the minimum wage was, until recently, 30,000 naira a month, about $20. A Nigerian senator's quarterly allowance could pay the annual salary of 280 minimum wage workers. Let that sink in. Let's zoom out and look at the continental picture, because this is where the story becomes truly staggering. Egypt, with a population of 102 million people and a parliament of 596 members, spends approximately $50 million on its legislature. That's less than a quarter of Nigeria's spending. Morocco's parliament costs about $70 million annually. Algeria's legislature runs on roughly $80 million. These are not small countries. These are not insignificant democracies. But here's the most explosive comparison. Combine the legislative budgets of Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Senegal, and Ethiopia. 6 countries, over 400 million people combined. Their total legislative spending, still less than Nigeria's National Assembly. 1 country, 1 legislature, outspending 6 others. And before anyone says, but Nigeria has oil money, let's address that elephant in the room. Nigeria is Africa's largest oil producer, yes. But Nigeria also has Africa's largest population living in poverty. Over 90 million Nigerians live on less than $2 a day. The irony? The National Assembly spends more in a single year than what would be needed to lift millions out of poverty through targeted interventions. Now, when confronted with these numbers, Lawmakers have their defenses ready. We represent the most populous nation in Africa, they say. Legislative work is expensive, they claim. These are necessary costs for democracy, they insist. But let's examine these arguments with the cold light of logic. India has a population of 1.4 billion, 7 times Nigeria's size, and their parliament costs approximately $500 million annually. That's roughly $0.36 per citizen. Nigeria, we're spending about $1.14 per citizen on the National Assembly alone. South Africa, with one of the continent's most robust democratic institutions, spends about $2.80 per citizen on parliament. But here's the kicker. Their legislators actually show up to work. Session attendance in the Nigerian National Assembly averages around 60%, sometimes lower. So we're paying premium prices for part-time representation. Excellent value for money. But let's talk about what this really costs. Not in naira, not in dollars, but in opportunity. 344.8 billion naira could build approximately 3,500 primary healthcare centers in rural Nigeria. It could provide electricity to hundreds of underserved communities. It could fund scholarships for 100,000 students through university. Instead, it funds wardrobe allowances, newspaper subscriptions, entertainment budgets. While legislators debate in air-conditioned chambers, millions of Nigerians they represent have no access to clean water. While they collect housing allowances, millions live in slums. While they fund their domestic staff, youth unemployment hovers around 40%. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. This is about priorities, about values, about what we've decided matters in our democracy. So what's the solution? Other African countries have shown it's possible. Rwanda implemented strict legislative cost controls. Ghana publishes detailed breakdowns of parliamentary spending, allowing citizen oversight. South Africa links legislative compensation to measurable performance indicators. The Kenyan public outcry over legislative spending led to reforms in 2018. Citizens organized, they demanded accountability, and they got results, a 20% reduction in parliamentary parks. Nigeria can do the same, but it requires 3 things. First, transparency. Every naira must be accounted for, every allowance justified, every expense published. Second, citizen engagement. This isn't just about social media outrage. It's about sustained pressure, organized advocacy, and demanding our representatives actually represent us. Third, political will. And this is the hardest part, because how do you get lawmakers to vote for a pay cut? That fortress in Abuja? It belongs to us. Every brick paid for by Nigerian citizens, every light bulb, every blade of grass. And the 469 people inside, they work for us, not the other way around. Africa's most expensive legislature serves Africa's most populated nation. But the question isn't whether we can afford it. The question is, can we afford not to demand better? What do you think? Should Nigeria's National Assembly budget be reformed? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more investigative content on African politics and governance.